Hi there.
Hi, I'm Susan. I'm going to rename myself.
Susan, so nice to meet you on Zoom.
Pardon?
So nice to meet you on Zoom.
Yes, finally.
Finally, after all the
Yes.
emails. Let me turn up my volume a little bit.
Okay, now people know who I am.
Thank you for this meeting.
Oh, well, I've known Nelson for like many years. So we're very, very glad this is all happening.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of the high drive here on this project because he knows everyone.
Okay, that's absolutely true.
And Angel wanted to join, but he's helping a kid at the Bellevue right now. So
Oh, well,
yeah.
That's Angel, right? Yeah,
Angel.
Paul and I were just talking before the meeting and that we were surprised he wasn't going to be there, but it's understandable.
Yeah. And have you met Liz Frederick yet, our COO? She's been there actually like 15 years, but she just became the COO just before COVID hit.
Yeah,
So
I know.
Quite experience.
I mean, basically, I've known Nelson and Angel.
Yeah.
And Nelson lives, in the neighborhood. This is a few blocks away from me.
Yeah. So I'll give this background later when everybody comes on, but a million years ago, I was with Habitat for Humanity on East 6th Street. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
At 742 and 745 East 6th Street, the Jimmy Carter building, basically wrapping that up and then getting the second building from the city and the state.
Yes, I do remember that happening.
And those were the days when Carol Watson and Monsignor Sakana were around on LESAC. And
yeah, Carol, I remember.
Yeah.
I think Miriam Freelander was our council person.
Yes, that's right. Gee, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
And it was like 1985. I heard about this great little group called Andrew Glover Program. And I went around the corner to see it, and Angel had to be at the courthouse. So there was Nelson. Nelson was not even on staff yet, but he was there, and the building wasn't finished yet. It was all raw plywood. And there was Nelson sitting there helping out in case a kid came in. Yeah, it's that kind of a place.
I met Nelson through local politics in the neighborhood. So we were working together on a campaign, and he would get all these kids to stuff buildings, to go into the NYCHA housing and put campaign literature under the door.
Yeah.
That's how I met him. So, and there's still, I think, a lot of people in the neighborhood, particularly since it's changing and gentrifying so much, that haven't heard of Andrew Glover. And I didn't know that the name changed.
But we're finding that. I'll just explain also my relationship with them is that I started freelancing with them in 1995, helping out with their fundraising. But I didn't join staff until about a year and a half ago during COVID. And so, yeah, we're
thanks everyone. Welcome. Thanks, Paul. Welcome to the September, the first Transportation Committee meeting for September 2021. I'm the vice chair. Paul is the chair of this committee. Just a reminder now that we're back on Zoom. If you'd like, we ask that everyone sign in on the chat. Please write your name and affiliation if there is one that you'd like to disclose. If there's a specific agenda item that you'd like to speak on, please also put that into the chat. That'll go to Paul, that'll go to the hosts, right? To you and Susan. And then when the item is called, then We will ask you again to raise your Zoom hand. If you have trouble with doing that, just let us know. Chat us, we'll help you with some tech if you have any technical difficulties. Yeah, and thank you everyone for coming tonight. Paul, take it.
Sure. Thank you, Michelle. Good evening once again, everyone. My name is Paul Rangel. I'm the chair of the Transportation, Public Safety and Environment Committee, and welcome to our September meeting of 2021. We do have 3 agenda items on for tonight. I am going to go a little bit out of order, but before I do that, I am going to ask everyone from the committee who was on, is there any objections or any changes to the minutes from our joint committee meeting in July? That was the only meeting we had. We had the M14 presentation mixed into all of that. I don't know if there was any changes anybody wanted to make. If not, we're just going to go ahead with the attendance. Committee, any changes? Going once, twice, 3 times. So that's great. All right. Wendy, we can go ahead with the attendance.
All right. Paul Rangel.
Present.
Michelle Cooper Smith.
Present.
Wendy, present. Lee Berman.
He's out.
Okay. David Crane.
Present.
David.
He's good. He just said
Sorry,
present.
did it not work?
You're good now,
Okay, yeah,
David.
present.
Gotcha. Kenya Hernandez.
I don't see her on.
And Tariq Ramos.
He's not going to come on until about 7 o'clock.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Give me 1 second. I have a lot of noise in the background. I love the wind out here. Give me 1 second. All right, hopefully that'll be all right. Okay, so I am going to go out of order today. I am surely going to start with the UA3 request for a loading zone. I believe on the north side of Grand and Suffolk. I believe there's some people here also to speak to that item. I am going to start with who is here to represent. Is it Don? Don,
Don,
you're
how?
here?
Yes.
Don, how are you? And is there anybody else that is presenting for UA3?
I don't know if Bonnie's here, but it's basically me.
Okay, so go ahead, Don. You can go ahead and take it away and ask and let us know why you're requesting a loading zone on Suffolk and Grant.
Okay, pretty much since April, May of 2020, we started bringing in food. This is really at the very beginning of the pandemic. We, and together with our twin pantry and 26th Street, we do about $3.5 million in food from Trader Joe's. And that operation goes Monday through Sunday, and we don't finish actually loading out our food into the pantries, sometimes 12 o'clock midnight for the next day. So we have trucks that we have to load the food in both day and night, because we have to pick up from these Trader Joe 3 Midtown stores 2 times a day. So we've been doing it, $2.5 million from Trader Joe's, about another $10 million in USDA Family to Farmers Food. So somewhere over that $12+ million mark in food we brought into New York City. A lot of that went to Lower Manhattan, but we've been serving all 5 boroughs, including Bronx and Queens and Brooklyn and Staten Island. Our ultimate goal is, when we get to build our site that's over on 384 Grand Street, is to build a food bank where we have at least 3,000 square feet of cold refrigeration, which is desperately needed. Now, we did all that with 0 government funding. So we've done tremendous amount of food. We've done tremendous amount. We were able to get food here before even federal programs or city programs stepped in. We have a great partnership with Henry Street Settlement and Vision Urbana. We collaborated with each other to make sure when we had excess, we gave it to each other so that we could distribute the maximum amount we could to Lower Manhattan. And it's been a great partnership. Trinity Church gave us $26,000 all for a truck to loan a commercial sized 24-foot truck to bring more food into Lower Manhattan and different areas. So our partners, Trinity Church, has also been exceptional. In the month during the summer months, we were able to get over 6 million masks distributed to New York City at no cost to New York City. And a lot of that went to Lower Manhattan, and again, to all 5 boroughs, all free of masks. Now, again, we're doing the same thing with hand sanitizers and other products that we can get. So we've been fortunate to tie into warehouses and companies that have excess, are willing to give it to us. So all these are really free products. And it was all done without any zero city money at all. Our first city check that we got from the borough president of Brooklyn was $10,000, and that happened about last month. And that has been the only money we've gotten. We've gotten promises, and I'm sure it's coming through, but that's pretty much it. We've been doing it all pretty much with a volunteer base and just very tired board members. Now, why do we need a truck loading zone? Again, we don't finish, like during that storm and rain, we were picking up in the middle of that rainstorm, we were picking up food from Trader Joe's. We finally called it quit because as we were pulling out the food, the stores began to flood. And at that point, we realized, even though food is important, the safety of our volunteers and our truck drivers is important. So we actually called it quit. Now, why do we need a truck loading zone? Well, the answer is without a truck loading zone, we're on Grand Street. And reality is we do whatever necessary to unload into the pantry. We double park, we unload onto the yellow median. And the answer is we want to do it the right way. And the right way is to get a truck loading zone, to park it there, and to bring the product around. So the application is to say, hey, we don't want to get the tickets. We don't want to ask the precinct for favors. We want to be able to have a legal spot we can load up day and night into our pantry. And that's really the gist of it. Now, we got a lot of friends. I mean, Sandra came on the line. She's been one of our recipients of food from almost the very beginning of 2020 when we first started. And many of the local housing, I'm forgetting the name. Many of the local, Two Bridges and I'm having a brain freeze right now, but many of the local housing also got a lot of this family to farmers food as well. We were bringing in almost like tractor trailer loads of food every day of the week to all the 5 boroughs. So it was a lot of volume that we were bringing in. Unfortunately, Manhattan has this crazy law that you can't bring tractor trailers into Manhattan. So somewhere during the summer, they stopped sending trucks into Manhattan. So we had to bring the half trucks in, and we had to bring smaller trucks in. But that's kind of where we're at. And the ultimate goal is to raise money and build a food bank in New York City with a large commercial elevator and refrigeration. And that was approved in the large scale plan of Go Broom. So not the technical details of the food bank, but the space that will allow us to build it. That's kind of in a nutshell. I mean, does anybody have any questions about us and who we are and how we started?
I'll handle the question portion. So before I ask committee or ask anybody to speak on to this agenda item, I'm gonna ask my first question for you, Don, is why this street in particular, Suffolk, on that northwest corner of Grand? So for full disclosure, I took a walk there yesterday afternoon to see the street itself. And the street itself is in pretty terrible condition. And maybe Susan can answer this. I know that you were on a call with DOT earlier today. I don't believe the street has been vetted yet. And it seems like there's some concerns there with potentially Con Edison going to work into this area because there's these Con Edison barricades. So I just want to know why this street in particular from both UA3 and if Susan, if you could shed any light from your conversation with the DOT this afternoon.
Well, the DOT did say they're having, the Go Broom is putting all their utilities and stuff in that. So technically that street will not be available until another 3 weeks to a month. And we understand that. But this is for long term. We're looking for a truck stop there. Our friends, our partners in South Bronx are so happy that they've gotten all this food, and we have sent this tremendous up there. They've donated a refrigerated 10-foot box truck for us. So, I have a construction company in New Jersey. I actually use my commercial vans also as well to go in and out of New York City to bring all this food in. Matter of fact, one is loaded with PPEs right now, surgical masks. But the choice was either Grand Street or Suffolk Street. We thought that Suffolk Street would be a little bit quieter street where we can move things in and around as opposed to right on Grand Street. So the choice was one of those two locations. And the future food bank is going to be, the entrance is going to be located right on Suffolk Street as well when it's finally built.
So this is a 25-foot loading zone you're asking for. What days and times?
Well, we pick up food from Trader Joe's 7 days a week. Our contract with Trader Joe's is Monday through Sunday. And and it goes, when we do pantries as early as we arrive 7 o'clock in the morning, and we unload some of the stuff that's in the truck from overnight. And we actually make our pickups starting runs at 7 p.m. at night, every day of the week. And so we actually load up 7 o'clock, and we have to hit 3 Trader Joe's stores in Midtown Manhattan. And a lot of times we don't finish until 11 o'clock, but I said 12 o'clock just to be safe. And that means when we finally land, we have people and volunteered and paid drivers to load the stuff out of the vans into the, or out of the trucks into the pantry.
Okay, can you just give me a little specific time of what's the time frame you actually want for the
So like 7 in the morning to 12 midnight.
Susan, can you just offer some clarity on some of these rulings from DOT in terms of loading zones?
Okay, thank you. Sure. So unfortunately, we didn't have some of the specifics until last night or this morning to be able to figure out how to best accommodate you and what we can do. So the truck loading zones are not in effect on Sunday. The standard is 7 to 7, 6 days a week, and open parking on Sunday. So these are, since we didn't know that till now, this is all information that we still need to figure out with DOT. What I did find out today, I checked on how soon your application would be answered at DOT, and they have a due date of October 22nd. So there is time to still keep working on this. So my other understanding, since JJ called me about this afternoon, was that the reason you really needed the late night loading and unloading was because of frozen food. And that would not be happening for 3 or 4 months, which again gives us time to figure out how to accommodate your needs. Is that correct, that that wouldn't be happening right away?
It's just to correct you, it's produce. Some of it is meats, not necessarily frozen, but cold, refrigerated meats and refrigerated items. So yes, we do move that stuff in. And like I said, in the middle of the rainstorm, 11 o'clock at night, my men were still loading up into the pantry until we finally called it, forget it. We called it quits.
It's understandable. So I'm trying to confirm the information because, like I say, Rosie, Gigi did call me about this afternoon, and what she told me was that right now, most of the food is coming in at the morning, starting at 7, and that the necessity for the midnight would be coming up in a few months. Is that not true?
No, the food is coming in now at midnight. The answer is we were in the middle of the storm delivering to Grand Street.
But, no, I mean, other than a storm, I'm talking normal situations.
Normal operations, we are picking up every day, whether it's going to Midtown or our Midtown 26th Street pantry or to Grand Street pantry. We pick up every night, 7 days a week at 7 o'clock. And we finish somewhere around 9 to 10, sometimes 11, sometimes later. We don't know how much food we're getting from Trader Joe's. It really depends on their load. And my apologies. I mean, I really don't know how this process works, so I probably did not give you, Susan, enough information adequate in a timely manner, and that's my apology.
Yeah.
Well, our only goal is to accommodate you and to try and figure out how to do this. And I got to say, as far as understanding the best way to do it with some of, considering some of the city rules, I don't have the answers for yet because, it just happens, because it's just new information. So I apologize for that.
Okay, thank you. Committee, any questions before I ask for comment from the community? Yeah, go ahead, Michelle. Sandra, I will call on you once I'm done with committee questions, but you'll be the first one to speak. But
thanks, Paul. Thanks, Susan. So I agree with Susan that I think our objective here is to accommodate, but I live right there. I live just north of there and now live just south of there. I've seen the trucks unloading, parking on like the sidewalk outside of 64 Essex on Norfolk Street. I agree that there needs to be some sort of solution to this. Well, two things. One is there's a Trader Joe's right a block away. I'm not sure if there's any way to like maybe get the food from there that would remove the necessity to drive from Midtown because it's right there. Of course, I know nothing about your operations, but just, there is one right there. And then second, my hesitation about Suffolk Street, and I agree with Susan that we just don't have enough information about how to accommodate this right now, is that because it is quiet would be a reason to not have a semi-tractor trailer there. Grand Street is a commercial busy place. I know that block has a fire hydrant on the corner, but then there would be plenty of space for a 25-foot loading zone, I believe, if necessary. Right now it's free parking. I think that this would be a better use of that space. I think that we've talked a lot in this committee about more comprehensive planning around Essex Crossing. Suffolk Street has effectively been closed since 2018. It's almost 4 years now. I think that it would behoove us to think more broadly about how we would utilize that space rather than opening it to traffic again. So I just want to put those things, but I think that we should kick this to October. I don't think we know enough right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. David Crane, you have your hand up. Go right ahead.
Yeah, similar to Michelle, I was going to say that, I was going to ask, there's currently loading and unloading that is necessary for a location that is on Grand and that you're considering moving, right? That you would like to build something to move on to Suffolk. I think if I heard that correctly, then there is a current need for something. Yeah, you were describing loading and unloading. Okay, well, what I was originally going to say was maybe it's a situation where we shouldn't be pre-allocating space, but maybe it is not that case. I do know that we pre-allocated a lot of space up where there is now a target at 14th and A, and I think that that was ill-advised of the committee to have done. Over. Sorry, over. That's what we say at work when we're done talking.
Do you want me to get you a walkie-talkie, David? That sounds like a over kind of thing. Committee, any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna take comment from the community at this point. Sandra, I saw your hand up earlier. You can go ahead. I know you wanted to issue a statement about this.
Yeah. Okay, hi. Excuse me. I'm at one of our board members' 50th birthday party, so I'm doing this at the same time. First of all, I'm Sandra. I'm the president of the Grand Street Guild, and I represent 600 low-income families. Don kind of covered it all about what he does, but I think he kind of humbled himself. Don has been just incredibly supportive of not only the Lower East Side, but the entire city. For us specifically, he's given food, PPEs, masks, hand sanitizers, and I've been able to distribute to even not only to my residents, but to NYCHA complexes as well. It's just an incredible operation that he has. He does it, and the reason why this is so needed is because the street is just bombarded with pallets. The pallets, he has to keep the trucks in front of Grand Street. We already know that there's a very big problem on Grand Street with traffic. And he has these big refrigerated trucks outside while he's doing this from 7 to 7. So he's parked illegally, right? It's just causing a lot of havoc. So we really need, to support this. I'm glad that, the committee thus far recognizes the need to support this. Susan, thank you for pointing it out. This is Margaret Chin and Gigi Lee's baby, right? This is their brainchild. Gigi was out during the whole campaign, so in support and giving out food through UA3 Community Pantry. Christopher Marte actually introduced me to Don last year. And I just think that we just gotta really support this. I don't know about pre-allocating spaces. I don't think that's a problem in this situation. I think they need the space. They need to come off of Grand Street. The free parking is not as necessary as this loading dock is. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Oh.
Appreciate it.
Oh, no, I have one question. Did the DOT, Susan, did the DOT respond at all or speak to how they perceive this? What any opinion about this at all?
Yes, they're very responsive. And the thing is, I didn't speak to them till today.
Right.
And they have until October 22nd to respond to the application.
Okay. So will you be writing a resolution tonight, Paul? Hello?
That's what we're debating right now.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay.
figure that out right now.
All right.
I think there's just there's more questions I am gonna take in the
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
It's a 50-50 chance. I'm not sure right now. Susan, and then I see Sam Zimmerman right after that.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, this is not like Don spoke about a space he was building, but I think that's kind of almost a distraction from what we're doing now. This is not for a pre-allocated space. This is for truck loading and unloading that they are using the last year, not legally, and they need to make it legal. So this is for at the moment, truck loading and unloading.
Okay. Sam Zimmerman, I know you sent an email last night. I'm sure you want to mention that stuff again. Go right ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. Can you hear me okay? Great. So first of all, thank you to UA3 and Don. I don't know your organization well, but I've seen the work that you're doing out there on Grand Street and Suffolk Street, helping the community, and great amount of appreciation for the work that you're doing. It sounds very important that you have a dedicated loading zone. I'm very supportive of that. I'm commenting just to say that I heard Don say he was deciding between asking for Suffolk Street versus Grand Street. I think that Grand Street would be the best place to have this dedicated loading zone. Suffolk Street, as Michelle said earlier, has been closed for nearly 3 years. I think there's an opportunity for the community to be thoughtful about what gets done with that space moving forward. I think the space on Grand between Norfolk and Suffolk has the adequate space for a 25-foot loading zone. I think that would be a great place for it. That sounds like it would meet Don's needs. I think another thing we need to think about as we do this is traffic in the neighborhood. We all know that there's been issues with the approach to the Williamsburg Bridge, but I think that Suffolk doesn't necessarily play a role in that because it's west of Clinton Street. It doesn't have the potential to be an avenue that people use. So I think that we should think about keeping that as a pedestrian area, and having this loading zone on Grand Street would be work out well for everyone. So that's what I came on to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Sam. I appreciate it. I was trying to do the email in your voice. It didn't work. So thanks for doing it. All right. Question for Don. You did mention earlier that you were debating between Suffolk Street and Grand Street as a loading zone, potentially.
Well, I think Suffolk Street in the long-term plan made sense with what we wanted to build. But you know what, if you put one on Grand Street this year and for the next year, I'm happy with that. I mean, and when you finally decide what you're deciding to build out on Suffolk Street, and some consideration can be made there at a later date, I'm fine. But right now, any loading zone would be terrific, because we are landing trucks for the past year and a half, and it is a huge traffic, it's a safety problem as well, because a lot of times we're running between that yellow median and, with a forklift through traffic, not dodging, but you understand, controlling traffic as we run the forklift and pallets of food to the pantry sidewalk.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not against the loading zone. I just don't know where I would prefer it at, from a personal standpoint, just because I didn't like the way that street looked yesterday for some reason. It just didn't feel right for some strange reason. Eric Diaz, did you want to make a comment? I see your hand up.
Sure, yes.
Go ahead, Eric.
I just want to greet Don. Hi, Don. I consider UA3 a valuable partner with Vision Urbana feeding the community. I do want to raise, and I do want to get a loading dock for them, if at all possible. But I do want to raise on behalf of Community Board 3, kind of a issue and a goal that we had set in place some years ago regarding that area of the Essex Street School, where this proposed loading dock would be kind of situated in front of. And I guess the question I would just kind of raise is, how would a loading dock affect, if anything, that potential goal that CB3 has been fighting for and written positions on regarding the Essex School, proposed Essex School there? We know it's kind of, at this point, it doesn't have a lot of legs on it, but I know it's something that we fought for at the Health Committee, and just thinking how that would affect potentially that request and that goal that we have, putting a loading dock on the Suffolk Street side. So I just wanted to raise that as a kind of Community Board 3 kind of a question mark. Outside of that, yeah, I definitely support the goal to put a loading dock there.
Susan, do you want to take that one about the school? I know that was a goal from the Human Services Committee.
Sure. So we're talking that something that could potentially hopefully happen years from now. A loading dock is not permanent. You could have a loading dock for 3 or 4 years and then change it. So I would say it wouldn't conflict at all.
David Crane, and then I'll go back to Susan. Go ahead, David.
I was wondering what the route would be to get to the proposed stop. I think the only way to go is to leave Grand onto Clinton, and then Clinton onto Broome, and then Broome onto Suffolk.
That's correct.
And I have concerns. I mean, Clinton is often clogged, you know, so I wonder if that would be a problem to have it there, because that route to get there is, I don't think, ideal for trucks to be taking. Over.
Susan, you had your hand up before.
It's down now. I said what I had. I was just answering Eric.
Oh, Eric, okay. There's a part of me that wishes DOT was on this call today, so we can ask them a few questions. I'm hesitant about doing a resolution tonight, personally, and not because I'm against this. I want UA3 to have a loading zone. I just don't know where exactly. If I want DOT to kind of vet it properly in terms of like what's better, Suffolk or Grand. Maybe there's an option there, and maybe we can get them to come back in October. I know they have till technically October 22nd, and our meeting will be before that. But I would be more than likely to have. I think we would have a lot more information by then. Is that possible, Susan?
It is. What I would suggest or try. Jennifer Leung's actually on vacation till Thursday. I did speak to her today, but she's actually on vacation till Thursday.
Okay.
What I could volunteer to do is with Margaret's office, work with DOT and the precinct to figure out temporary loading zone, and then get DOT involved in a conversation about also the second option of Grant Street, because right now they're not even looking at that. I mean, it seems to me it's just a terrible area. It's a high priority need, and it has to be it's not one of those easy resolutions like you can have this 20 feet in front of a hotel. It seems like there needs to be a lot of conversation.
Okay. Don, I'm gonna ask you this. I do kind of want to put this back on for October. Would you be okay with that?
As long as you guys don't give me tickets.
I know Susan and the office and the district office is going to work diligently to try to get a lot of this resolved. I know there's some other issues outside of the loading zone that are potentially at play in terms of parking spots and whatnot. So hopefully a lot of things can get resolved over the next couple of weeks. Before you know it, our October meeting will be on. I want to push this for October, and if anything, we'll probably do a resolution in October. I don't foresee us doing a resolution tonight. Is there any disagreement from the committee on that, on my thoughts? I don't want to just like overtake here, but if there's any objection from the committee on that, if you want to see a resolution tonight, let me know right now. 3 thumbs up for a resolution or to move to October.
Move to October.
Thank you.
I agree.
Move to October. David Crane.
Yeah, I'd rather see it that, and I think that there should be a conversation about the route to get to the potential stops
Awesome.
in advance of the meeting, if that's not too much.
That's fine. Wendy, any objections about wanting to move this to October?
None.
Okay. Kenyelle, I know you just came on. This is an item we may want to move to October. Is that, are you all right with that? I know you just got on. Josh, maybe you have some technical difficulties. Okay, for this item, we're going to move the UA3 loading zone agenda item to October. Don, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And this information was definitely helpful, and the fact that there's a potential option of Grand as well in there helps. Thank you, and I know Susan and the entire district staff will be working diligently, and as well as Margaret Chin's council member Margaret Chin's office as well. So thank you for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that takes care of that agenda item. One less resolution. Michelle, are you leaving us?
I'm signing off.
Okay, have a
Good
good
luck.
one.
I don't think anyone else is entering, so good luck with the Zoom.
We got it from here. Thank you.
Okay, good night.
All right. Okay, so our next item is it Go Sun? Am I saying that correctly? Who is here for the bus application?
Victor Chen is here.
Victor Chen. I think I saw Victor on. Victor, you on?
I saw him on before. Yes, he's there.
Okay, I think I
He
see.
has to unmute himself.
You can. So Victor, if you want to present on the bus application, and you're asking us for a bus stop. You're on mute. You're gonna need to take yourself off mute, Victor. There you go.
Hello?
There you go, Victor.
Okay.
We hear you.
okay. Yes, we would like to doing daily, so only like 2 pickup timing and 2 drop off timing from drop off at 10 a.m. and then pick up the customer again at 12 p.m. and then afternoon and 5 p.m. Drop off and start 6 p.m. to pick up a customer in the 127 East Broadway. So we use only 1 bus to running 2 schedule. The bus actually first running from Philadelphia to New York around 7:30, and then be New York should be 10, then leaving at 12, and then back to Philadelphia be 2 o'clock, and then 2:30 come back to New York, then leaving job off at 5, and then leaving at 6, and running daily.
7 days a week. You're going every day?
7 days a week, yes.
Okay, no, just Monday to Friday. All right. Committee, the application was on the website. I'll pull it up. I'll share my screen for everyone to take a look at. Okay, so hopefully, here's the application. Go Sun Tour Inc. The proposed bus stop is in front of 125 East Broadway, Victor. 125, is that
Yes,
correct?
125 East Broadway.
And 127.
And then the store, they should be in 125, just in front of. They have a store. We rent the space to sell the tickets, and also most of them doing online.
I thought it was 127 based on the application. Am I wrong? Because I see 127 here on the storefront.
Yeah. 127 for, sorry, and
Okay.
then the application is 125 for the loading. So just in front of that.
Daily pickup is at 12 and at 6, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
That's the
12 and
loading?
6, and drop off at 10 and 5.
Okay. And the bus will lay over in Queens on Metropolitan Avenue?
And actually,
That's
the bus layover in Philadelphia, because the bus start in Philadelphia, but we have a bus garage and also in Queens. So we only running 1 buses for 2 schedule, and then we have the backup bus in Queens and Philly for both.
So yeah, backup buses, looks like you have 7 total buses, but you're only
Yes,
gonna run 1
yes.
bus. How many seats on that bus? About 50?
Yeah, 56.
56 seats?
Yes,
Okay,
56.
so this is, so the storefront will accommodate all the passengers, there's restrooms for the
Yes.
tickets are gonna be sold online. You didn't, I didn't see that filled out.
Right now, most of the tickets sold online and also show in the store.
They'll be
both.
sold in both the storefront and
And online, yeah.
and they won't be sold on the street. Okay, so my questions now are for, sorry. Susan, do we know of any other buses that are going to Philadelphia in that area? We're starting to see a rash of bus applications again. And I am concerned because that area has a lot of bus stops and bus applications, and I think we're about to jump up a lot. And this is a two drop off and two pickup application going to Philly. Is there any other? But do we
I'm
know any
sorry.
other places that are
I'm
going to Philly?
I don't have the answer to that. I assume, I mean, it's a popular destination. I don't know if they're in that area though or not. David may know, he has his hand up.
So before I go to you, David, do we know if that's still an active bus stop for any other buses? I know a lot of the companies shut down because of the pandemic, but is 127, 125 East Broadway pretty active for buses? I know when I went on Google Maps, I saw a bus, but that I don't think that is updated. If we know that area is still an active bus stop or not. David, do you want to go ahead?
There's a
I was
list on
gonna
the
ask-
DOT.
Okay.
Susan, is that a list of the active
it's-
licenses? Yeah,
It should be, but I haven't looked at it. It should be.
right. I haven't looked at that forever. We used to track it ourselves. It's fiendishly difficult to track, and that's one of the things we asked DOT to do that they never, well, I don't know, they may have if there's a list on site, but we had a hard time getting anything out of them if we got something.
There's
I
been
was
a
going to
list
ask
for a
whether
long
they are
time.
currently, yeah, it was pretty difficult to put together how many daily stops were happening at particular locations is what I recalled. But anyway, is this operator currently operating? And so this is to, to create a legal space for an already existing operation, I think. Is that true?
David, you on mute? Please open that.
Oh yeah, I was asking a question. I was wondering if the applicant could explain whether he is already operating and he is now looking for a license to be able to operate at this location.
Mr. Chen, that's for you.
Is he moving from a different location? Is he already there, or is this a brand new business kind of? Yeah.
We are not really operate right now from here to Philadelphia. We running actually from fixed bus from Midtown. We support buses for them to running from New York to Buffalo for fixed bus. I know you guys heard about fixed bus, but they running in Midtown Manhattan. We support bus, they operate, and then we partner to operate right now. And actually, the Chinatown buses stopped since the pandemic, since last year March. Most of the buses company actually stopped for 1 year, and then right now we just try to. Seems the pandemic's gone. We support to reopen again for in Chinatown area. But for the Manhattan buses, we already running about half a year already. But it's with a fixed bus in Manhattan Midtown.
Victor, this
Yeah,
question
so Paul,
is. Go ahead, David.
This general area has always had a lot of bus stops. It seems to be the desired location, at least Division and Allen is. Whatever it is right here, this location. Anyway, it would not be the only bus operator within, I don't know, there's just a lot of buses there, but he has offered to have a storefront. If that storefront also includes a restroom facility, this is probably the best arrangement that we can get.
It looks like, trying to look at the application, I'm sorry. And there's
Well, I also
it says, are there restrooms for pass? So the storefront does have restrooms, so that's helpful at 127. That
so
is
if we could
helpful.
just ask that he definitely is going to have them open at all hours, or like for all arrivals and all departures, if the passengers will always have access to that restroom. If he says yes to that, then this is the best case we can get.
Victor, will you say yes to that? Or?
Yes, the store open at 9 a.m. and then until at night.
Until what time at night? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, until at 7.
Until 7 o'clock? Okay.
Yeah.
David, does that satisfy your question?
Well, does that encompass the entire schedule plus or minus a half hour? So that
I think it adds a little. It looks like it adds a little more than that.
Nice.
I think it goes a little past that. All right. Committee. Does the committee have any other questions for Mr. Chen? Okay. I did send over a draft resolution last night. Last night for this applicant. Does anybody want to make a motion to bring it to the floor?
Sure, I'll move it.
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Tariq. Wendy, do you have share screen privileges? Let me make sure you do.
Let me see. I cannot share screen.
Now you can. David, you still have your hand up, or did you have another question? Or is your hand just up by?
Yeah, it was just something
accident?
I observed on the application just now.
Okay.
If you have 7 buses and 5 of them do not yet have the pollution controls that have been required since around the year 2000, I think earlier, you're operating some really old buses. At this point, I thought we would be getting 100% of buses having the pollution control devices. It does mean that you're operating old buses. Any bus manufactured since around the year 2000 has the kind of pollution controls that we were listing there.
Victor, you want to respond to that? Is your company running a majority
No,
of
we
older
keep
buses?
buying buses, but since this application, actually we apply for March, but after this half a year, we buy more buses. So right now we have actually total right now is more than 10. So not only 2 have that's the pollution control. So we have more right now because the application from the early of this year, and then we get back to business right now. So we have more of the buses have, and actually have a 5 have a pollution control, and we're only running 1 buses for this schedule. And we do have Chinatown permit before in 145 Canal Street since 2018, but until the for 3 years until 2020, we do not extend because of the pandemic.
Okay. All right, thank you. Committee, any questions before we start taking a look at the resolution? No, okay. So, I'm sorry, I'm just fixing my screen. Okay, so this is pretty much, the resolution is pretty much standard. We did a bus application about 3 months ago, I would say back in June. I just want to go over this. This is GoGo Centaur Inc. has applied for a designated bus stop for curbside loading and unloading operations located at 125 East Broadway, located at East Broadway and Pike Street. The buses will operate under the GoGo Centaur Incorporated name, providing service between New York City and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with 2 departures daily at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. and 2 arrivals daily at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Sounds about correct, right, Victor, so far?
Yes.
Okay. GoGo Centaur Inc. will be approved for only 1 bus, so that's where we could fill that blank in. Whereas the bus stop is an existing bus stop at 125 East Broadway. Susan, should I keep that whereas in there? I'm not sure If it was an existing bus stop, it may have been in the past. I'm not sure if that, we should keep that in there. David, do you remember this specific?
We certainly put it, I mean, it's not critical information. If we are unsure, we shouldn't say it. This is not an MTA bus stop, is it?
Okay.
But possibly it was other, dedicated for other buses as well.
Okay, so I'm just gonna amend this and take out this whereas clause, because I'm not exactly sure if there was a bus stop there or not. There's the
As I
applicant's-
recall, the DOT letter used to tell us that
Right.
information. So
So
anyway, just delete it.
if I
we're
could
good.
just, I did check the DOT website. There is a list of all approved bus stops. However, it's for the whole city, so it probably has to be downloaded and filtered just, for Manhattan, that kind of thing. But there is a list of all stops,
Okay,
of all approved permits.
all right. I gotta start taking a look at that now that we're gonna probably get more bus applications. And I don't really want to oversaturate this neighborhood any more than it's already been with bus stops and bus applications. So, we'll continue to take a look at that. Let's keep looking here. All the bullets are basically what was in the application. There's a storefront that will be available to customers during arrivals and departures at 127 East Broadway. Tickets will only be sold for specific boarding times, not be oversold. Tickets will be sold in an assigned boarding system. This is everything they've agreed to. We just scroll down. If we're able to.
Oh, I think I
Yeah,
disconnected a bit.
Are you freezing a little bit?
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully, well, I let me see.
Every time we have a rainstorm, my internet goes to crap.
Happens. You can try it again. Yeah.
It's reconnecting.
I'll pull it up on my end. Give me 1 second.
Okay, got it. Can you guys see?
Give it a second. Pull it up. There you go.
Mhm.
All right. All right. So the bullet points are pretty much all the same from the previous, from the application. Are we disapproving this application? I should just ask that question. Are we okay with giving GoGo Sun Tour this bus stop? David Crane, I'm going to ask you first. I'm just going to go in order that I see. Thumbs up, Tariq.
Yes.
2 thumbs up. Ooh, this is getting good. If somebody has 3 thumbs, that'll be kind of funny. We got 1 thumb, 2 thumbs, and now Wendy, what do you got for me?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, Keniel. She may be having technical difficulties. Okay, David, go ahead, hand up.
I assume that there's no one from the public that wants to talk about this.
You're good catch. My fault. I didn't see anything in the chat about anybody asking to speak on this item. Does anybody have questions about this specific item of the bus application? Yeah, I didn't see anybody come out for it, David. All right, going once, twice, 3 times sold. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna. I am okay with giving them our recommendation that DOT approves this permit. So we can. Yeah, here we go. The DOT issue a permit for GoGo Sun Tour Inc. to operate their bus service at designated outside of 125 East Broadway providing that the preceding list of stipulations agreed between the applicant and CB3 will be attached to the DOT permit. Any other questions about this resolution? All right, I'm going to take a quick, I'm going to vote on this. David Crane, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, Tariq,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Kenyelle. I don't know if she can hear me. Oh. All right. I'm just not getting a response. All right. Is anybody else on the phone right now that we're missing? Lee is absent and Michelle's absent for this one. All right, so this resolution passes. Congratulations, Mr. Chen. We will vote on this at full board in 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Wendy. All right. As I said before, I like to save the best for last. The next item up is the street naming for Avenues for Justice. Avenues for Justice has been in contact with us since, I believe, April, in wanting to get Avenue B between 6th and 7th Street named Avenues for Justice Way. I believe on the call today is Annie Troy, Miss Elizabeth Frederick, and Mr. Nelson Valentine. I have a soft spot for them, so I'm going to stop. What we're going to do is, Annie, I don't know if you want to explain the application on your end as to why you were asking for this street co-naming, and if your colleagues want to answer as well, you can go right ahead.
Sure, and then we could use, if you wouldn't mind being the person who puts up our presentation, can you do that, or how should we do that?
Are you talking about the application that you sent us this morning?
There's the application, and there was a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, give me 1 second and I'll pull it up.
Thanks
But
for your help.
you can.
But I'll kind of kick it off, and everybody can join in. Liz and Nelson can join in. But Avenues for Justice was originally called the Andrew Glover Youth Program. It's founded in the 1970s. And actually, it was started before then, in the mid-70s, by an NYU student who Nelson knew as well, Robert Siegel. And he started the mid-70s, and Lower East Side was a very different time and place. And he started helping kids with giving them meal tickets to the NYU cafeteria, helping them with their homework. And then he started going into if they got arrested, going in with them into the courthouse to stand with them next as they stood before the judge to ask that they be allowed to return to the community and get homework help and services instead of being put in jail. And with that, it became really one of the first alternative to incarceration programs for youth in the nation. Robert passed away at a very young age, and Angel Rodriguez knew him, Nelson knew him. Angel was with the Boys Club. And so Angel kept the work going, often assisted by Nelson, and incorporated them in 1979 as the Andrew Glover Youth Program, named for a local policeman who had been helping with the youth and had been killed in the line of duty. So then through the years, it was really a pioneering program. They got a little building, I think through the TIL program on 100 Avenue B. Here we go. So we've been there for over 40 years, and you may not recognize him because he usually wears a suit and tie, but that's Nelson in the middle with a couple of our participants. See, to go down to the next page. Can I scroll on my end, or do I have to give instructions to scroll? Okay, there we go. So we were one of the first alternatives to incarceration. We advocated that alternatives for incarceration become the norm in the criminal justice system, and establish the youth park model, which is now used nationwide. Our door is always open at 100 Avenue B. Any youth in need could come in. They don't need a referral. They don't need an appointment. The staff, as Nelson can tell you, stays on call 24/7 to help participants and their families through any kind of need or any kind of crisis. We also work with younger youth than most groups. We start with age 13 for alternatives to incarceration. And we're not just alternatives to incarceration, we're also crime prevention. So we like to get in there before the youth have an encounter with the police. And they often come to us because their friends have referred them to us, or their families want to see that their child needs to be, needs some assistance to stay on the right track. So we deal with what we call at-risk youth. And then we're, alternatives for incarceration is the way to keep your streets safe, because if you send a child to jail or detention, over half of them are going to return to crime when they come back out. But if you send a child into services and let them come back to the community, we are seeing that 5% or less a return to crime. And we have been tracking that since the mid-90s over a 3-year basis with all of our youth. And that has been our norm. And we are also, Angel has been leading it since 1979. We've been continuously Hispanic led. The management is up in that corner at the upper top right. And we have a lot of our staff live right in the neighborhood where our youth do, as Nelson does. Nelson, do you want to add anything, or you want to tell a story about Robert?
Yeah, well, okay, I could say that I've known this program since the 70s. I say that a lot of friends when I was growing up, a lot of them got arrested, and Robert Siegel definitely was a blessing in disguise. He was the only Jewish man that could walk the street and back in the 70s without getting robbed or mugged, because everybody admired him because he was such a help to a lot of the poor people in our community. And everybody has given up, but Bob Siegel was an angel. He went there, he helped the kids, he played basketball with them. He made a big difference. I mean, I was like 13, 14 years old. And he used to tell me during the time he was in NYU college, he used to go with myself, where all my friends would go there, and he would give us tickets for lunch, so we could understand what it is to, be there. And we were hungry too. It was poor and we didn't eat nothing. And him and his friends basically gave us tickets so that way we could eat. Bob Siegel is a special person in my life. That's what I could say. Working for the Andrew Glover program for over 32 years, basically I talk to judges, lawyers, prosecutors to give young people an opportunity, instead of locking them up, change their lives around, to make a difference in their lives, letting them know that they do care, they do matter. The Board of Education, some of the parents have basically given up on these kids, and we're here fighting for them every single day because they count. We have a lot of success stories of kids that have made transitions from gun cases to drug cases. And we made a lot of difference in a lot of kids' life. We basically have job like programs, also like job readiness program. We have tutorial. We have a STEM boot camp program. We pretty soon, I just read that we have also a boxing program also. So we're gonna be really working with our kids. We deal with a lot of social issues. And during that time, while we're doing all this kind of work, we report to the judge and how the kid is doing, where we started with him, and how basically he's doing today. If he's going to school, was he going to school before? No. Is he going to school today? Yes. Is he keeping a curfew, something that they never kept before? Now they're keeping a curfew and calling my colleagues and myself. They also, we report to the judge if they're doing well. We also want a safe community, which means that sometimes we have the burden of telling a judge, Your Honor, this kid is out there selling drugs, hitting people over the head, and we need, this kid maybe to be remanded just for a few weeks so they could see that you know, that this is a serious issue. They have a court case that is very serious. We want a safe community, so we let the judge know this kid is doing well or he's not doing well. That's how we got our credibilities with a lot of the Supreme Court judges and criminal court judges as well. So that's what I have to say. I could say is that, you know, being here for 32 years, I've seen a lot of lives being changed. We have a 95% success rate of kids that don't turn around. And if you want me to tell you one story of a child or two, I could do that if you would like me to respond to that.
Nelson, I think we get the picture so far as of all the good work so far that you've done and the organization's done. I don't know. I am thinking about everybody's time a little bit as well. I don't know if you want Annie and Nelson, I don't know if you want to continue on with the presentation.
Could we go to the next slide?
So let me, Annie, let me start by saying, I'm gonna give them a scenario. I was walking down 11th Street between BNC, and there was a 16-year-old kid getting high on 10 bags of heroin a day. This 16-year-old asked me for help. I helped him out. I wind up putting him in a drug treatment program for 3 years. But his mother and his father both were heroin users. So this kid, 16 years old, imagine 10 bags of heroin. That's $100 habit a day. So he was selling drugs just for his habit. And we made, and so I made the referral to a program called Phoenix House, where he stood there 3 years. He got his high school diploma, he also went to college, completed, and in business administration. Today, he works doing sales for buildings and housing, and he's doing great. And he also selling co-ops as well. So at the same time, this young man made a big difference in his life. He got married. He changed his whole life completely. And if it wasn't for the Avenue for Justice program that supported him and myself, I think this kid would have been dead, or he could have been in jail at this time.
Yeah, thank you, Nelson. Would you mind if we went to the next slide? So then we have already kind of covered this. We did incorporate in 1979. In 2015, we changed our name to Avenues for Justice. And as we said, it's been continuously led by Angel Rodriguez for 40 years. And Liz, I think you're still there. If you want to chime in at any point, please feel free. Can we go to the next slide? So this has just some of our programs. We are based right inside the criminal courthouse. We can respond quickly. We're on call 24/7. We work with education and job training, life skills. We've been proven to reduce recidivism, and we do it. Whereas last year the city spent $86 million to incarcerate youth for just 29 days. We spend a little over 5,000 per youth per year to give them a year's worth of services. If we go to the next slide. Oops, I think there's one with, whoops.
Hold on a second.
That's okay.
There we go.
Yeah, just down there, perfect. This just shows who we serve, the demographics, the age groups. You can just give it a quick scan. You can see how many we served in 2020. And then I think the next slide, I think it's into the whole street naming project. Yeah, there we go. So we talked to Community Board 3, Susan and Paul in April. We had an intern come on board in June, and he's been working with Nelson to canvass the neighborhood. We felt like our name was like kind of a good match for Avenue B, Avenues for Justice. We're just, Lori's side has been such a frontliner for justice. At this point, though, we did decide in August to put a pause on gathering signatures because of the COVID uptick. So we chatted with Susan and we have basically gathered together what we have so far and are presenting that for the Transportation Committee to decide if we have a punch list to keep working, or does this seem, with the circumstances of COVID, does this seem to be sufficient? We have 35 local businesses. They were very easy for us to get signatures from. We have 74 residents who have signed on, primarily from this zip code. We did, there are a few who are from outside the zip code because we went to Tompkins Square Park, and sometimes we got just park goers. We did provide the sign-up sheets. And we also understand that the street sign on East 7th and Avenue B is named after Charlie Parker. And that one group several years ago has been working over the years to get signatures to name East 6th and Avenue B after Donald Suggs. And that's also very important. So we didn't know if there was an option such as naming the block, or what the options would be for us, since it's been kind of an important activist area, and the street signing has happened in a lot of cases. We do have, next we just have some of the evidence of our signatures. Liz, would you like to cap us off?
Sure. I'll just add that, our roots are in the Lower East Side, as Nelson mentioned. If you walk down Lower East Side with Nelson or Angel, practically on every block, they'll be stopped by community members, family members. And that's because we don't only work with young participants that live in the area, we also work with their families, because we do recognize that most situations start at home. And during the pandemic, we found that there was a greater need for ATI and community-based organizations such as ourselves. And it's really unfortunate that it took the events of what was going on across the country for a lot of people to realize that incarceration is not where our young people belong. And then, of course, we have quote unquote progressive prosecutors such as DA Gonzalez in Brooklyn, who's coming to the realization that young people don't belong in prison cells. And that's something that for over 40 years, Avenues for Justice has always recognized. And so our community center in the Lower East Side is a safe haven for our young people, and it's a safe space. And, we had to close our doors in March due to the pandemic, but given the situation, the food insecurities that our participants and their families went through, we served the largest number of ATI court-involved participants in the history of our organization last year. And it was because there was a greater need. And I think from that, and being a community-based, particularly with all of our court advocates living in the communities where our participants live, looking like the participants that we serve, we recognize that this is really an opportunity time for us to name the block after Avenues for Justice, because we've provided avenues for over thousands of Lower East Side youth and young adults over the years.
I'll just quickly run by our Lower East Side roots here presenting. And Nelson has always lived on the Lower East Side. He was born and raised on the Lower East Side. Liz has been working with Avenues for Justice for 15 years, and she became our COO just before COVID hit. So she's had an interesting time in her new role, and she's done a great job. And in 1985, 1986, I was with Habitat for Humanity working on affordable housing at 742 and 745 East 6th Street. And then I had worked with fundraising for 6th Street Community Center in the early 90s, and started helping out Avenues for Justice in 1995. But in 1985 or 1986, when I was at Habitat, somebody told me there's this great group called Andrew Glover Program around the corner. And I went by, and they were still building the little building at 100 Avenue B. And Nelson wasn't even on staff, but he was there because Angel was in the courthouse and somebody needed to help the kids when they came in the door. And it's just been that real community-based place all along.
All right, thank you. Before I say anything, questions from the committee? see a heart from Tariq, and I see a hand from Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
Can I speak in favor of this?
Sure.
Okay, so I met Nelson, I think in the late 90s, and became aware of the Andrew Glover program. We actually hired some of his kids during campaigns for successive years. And about 12, 13 years ago, the community board led a forum on youth violence, and Andrew Glover participated with our community groups. And I'll just also say, every convening I have been invited to in the neighborhood of stakeholders to talk about the neighborhood and what's needed, Angel has been there every time. And I just want to say they're really important organization that does demonstrate the values of our community. And, you know, I think it would be great to name the street after them. And one more thing, Annie did speak to me about how difficult it was during COVID, where they couldn't get any people to answer the doors on the block. And it was just real difficult with the petitions. And I spoke to Paul about it. And after speaking to Paul, invited them to come to the meeting.
Thank you. And Angel wanted to come as well, but he's helping a kid who's in the hospital. So that's Angel. He'll be in touch to find out how this worked out.
So just a couple of things. Yes, Susan and I spoke after Ms. Troy advised us that the signatures may not be met, and I know there's some time issues in regard to city council and
Right.
potentially getting this street naming done before the end of the year, if I'm correct, Susan?
Yeah, they need to do this now to get
Yeah.
it to city council, to have it vetted before the December vote.
Okay, so, and we're under a time crunch, and that's why I said they can come with what they had today in terms of signatures, and it's not too bad considering that nobody's really in town. I think Susan and I had this startling conversation about how many people have left the East Village recently during the pandemic yesterday, and it's interesting. Personally, I don't like to go into a lot of personal anecdotes, but I did have the privilege and honor of working for what is now known as Avenues for Justice in my very first career stop. When it was the Andrew Glover Youth Program, I worked there from 2006 to 2009. So I got to know a much younger Nelson then. You still look young, by the way, buddy. And it's always great to hear Liz's voice when she wasn't screaming at me. So I'm just kidding. I'm very glad to hear that you're the COO now. Just to add on to what Susan said earlier, I have not worked in that organization since 2009. I wasn't a client or anything like that. Had a BA in criminal justice out of FDU, and Mr. Rodriguez took a chance on me to let me finish up my degree while I started working there. And I was only about a month away from graduating. Gave me my first opportunity to work within the criminal justice system and the juvenile justice system, which I still somewhat affiliated with. Angel called me last year when I got sick and when my mother passed away. So he's that kind of guy. And that organization is that kind of organization. And I haven't been there since 2009. So I have a lot of respect for what Avenues for Justice has done, continues to do. I know they've expanded. They changed names. They have a newer center up in East Harlem, from what I understand. And their catchment area has grown from the Lower East Side and East Harlem to throughout the city. And I always remember Mr. Rodriguez saying that AGYP, now Avenues for Justice, was the Lower East Side's best kept secret. It's no longer that, and it needs to be celebrated. I am in favor of moving a resolution to support the co-naming of Avenue B between East 6th and East 7th to Avenues for Justice Way. David Crane, go right ahead.
I also support it. I live around the corner, and I've been here for 25 years. So I do support it. I want to talk about the signatures and the reason that they're there. Nobody on the reason that there's such a strict requirement that I support relaxing here. But nobody on the committee was on the committee or even the board back when we did it. It used to be that we could not say no to any application, no matter what it was, who it was, anybody who came to the committee, we would give them a street co-naming. And so we decided we wanted to make sure that there was broad community support, and that was really going to be the committee's threshold. So we have guidelines, and the reasons, and this is completely within the guidelines, but one of the guidelines does talk about this like very high requirement for petitions. And we are free as a committee to, be real strict about applying a guideline or not. And so I want us to approve this one, but I want us to remember that if we start getting a lot of applications coming to us saying we couldn't gather signatures, then we need to look very, very closely at all of the other guidelines where we've got all these other requirements, which the Avenues for Justice completely meets that. But if someone comes to us for something that little iffy on any of those other criterion, and they don't have a very large number of signatures, then we just need to remember this conversation, because I'm not going to be able to give this little speech when we're sitting in front of someone who, is talking about a loved one. You're right. Okay.
Yeah, David, I agree with you. I think, there was hesitancy on the part of Avenues when they told us that they couldn't meet the signature requirements initially. And in understanding of the time crunch they were in, and we were in and wanting to get this done, and I know they made every honest effort, I think is the only reason why I kind of wanted to relax this portion. Tariq, go ahead.
I'm in support of the street co-naming. I always wondered what that building was. I went to school at Pier 64, so I always wondered walking by what that building was. But your presentation, I'm born and raised in the neighborhood, but your presentation was very moving. And so it has guided me to want to learn more and see how I can support outside. So thank you for that. But I am in complete support of this co-naming.
Thank you, Tariq, and we welcome you to stop by anytime to visit us at our community center.
Good. I'm just going to come in and raid the fridge again, if that's possible.
We always have snacks for you, Paul.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Favorite pizza.
Tariq, you still have your hand up. Did you want anything else? Did you want to say anything else? Or you just okay? Yeah. In light of what David was saying, I think this is an extraordinary circumstance. I think once things, hopefully, if they return back to normal, we'll go back to the original guidelines. And if we have to go back and look at this application again, then we, not this specific application, but the application in general, then that's something we may have to take a look at. I did send a draft resolution last night as well. Can anybody send a motion out to bring it to the floor?
I motion.
I move that we adopt it.
Okay, that's a first and a second.
I'll second.
Okay. When do you have the ability to pull it up?
Guess able to see this okay?
Yeah. Oh, got all the track changes.
Should I turn that off, or you want me to keep it on?
That's fine. I think Susan was correcting me on some of the stuff, but I want to be able to fill in the numbers on here.
Mm-hmm.
So just the support for the street co-naming of Avenues for Justice. Can you change the quotes to passed away on the instead of past justice, passed away? I screwed that one up. To make sure I read it incorrectly.
Pass way?
No. Passed way. At the end of way, just take out the quotes at the end of justice and put them on way.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Annie, go ahead. You had a question?
Yeah, Angel had a question that we need to clarify with him after this meeting. So will the sign, supposing everything goes well and everything is passed, will the sign then be at East 6th Street and Avenue B, or is it going to be a different location because of the Donald Suggs situation? We were just kind of trying to get the nuts and bolts down about
Susan,
that.
could you answer that question?
Yeah, and we need to actually correct this in the title. It
Yeah.
should be Avenue B between 6th and 7th Street, and the sign would be at 6th Street.
Okay.
Avenue B at 6th Street. And I just want to clarify again for the other street code naming on 7th Street, that is on Avenue B between 7th and 8th, because the sign is on the other side of 7th Street. So it doesn't conflict with anything. It's Avenue B between 6 and 7, and at 6th Street, the sign would be on Avenue B at 6th Street.
Okay, thank you. That's
for
exactly what we
That,
mentioned.
that sounds like a long, that sounds like a long title. In
Yeah,
the title, maybe it should be of Avenue B at 6th Street, because there will be only a single sign.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
wasn't
gonna hang
suggesting
on-
that for a
yeah.
title.
Right. I think the title might want to read of Avenue B at 6th Street. And then we can have
Well,
the
I-
language later on.
I think it should say Avenue B between 6th and 7th
Okay.
to clarify what street you're co-naming.
Yeah, let's just, it's fine the way it is right now. Support for street co-naming avenues for Justice Way and Avenue B between 6th and 7th Street. There we go. Okay, let's go through the whereases really quick. If anybody wants to add anything, please stop me and let me know. Whereas Avenues for Justice, formerly known as the Andrew Glover Youth Program, has served the Lower East Side for over 40 years and having been founded in the 1970s. And whereas the organization was originally named in honor of police officer Andrew Glover of the 7th Precinct, who was killed on duty. Actually,
It should be
changed on in, what was that?
Shouldn't that be 9th Precinct?
9th precinct, yes.
Okay, we had a different number. Who was killed in the line of duty, not on duty, in the line of?
In the line of duty, yeah.
Near our community center at 100 Avenue B. Near the, it's not ours because it's the community center at 100 Avenue B. Just take out our and put the. Whereas Angel Rodriguez co-founded the organization and remains its executive director. And whereas Avenues for Justice is one of the first alternative incarceration programs in the country. Alternative incarceration programs serve to assist young people in getting second chances in life. It offers a safe space for young people and families. I screwed that one up. It offers a safe space for young people and families at its community center on Avenue B, as well as provide activities such as work readiness, tutoring, and arts for the young people, as well as all the other things they've listed today, including boxing, but I'm not going to put that in there. Is the ping pong table still there? That's all I need to know. Nelson?
Have to come, you
Yeah,
have to come and find out.
Okay.
The ping pong table was there, but I don't know with the flood, we had a flood.
Oh, terrible.
So I don't know what happened to it. Yeah.
I think I used that thing more than the young people did. All right. Whereas a petition for co-naming we're not going to do a specific corner. You can delete
B
that
corner
portion.
of E6
And Avenue B as Avenues for Justice Way demonstrated substantial neighborhood awareness and support. The petition gathered, was it 74 signatures, Annie?
It's 34 plus 74. So it's 34, was it 34 or 35 businesses and then 74 residents.
74, and you said 35 businesses?
I'm pretty sure it was 35.
5 is 9, that's 109.
Oh.
Okay.
That's 109. 109 signatures from the blocks of.
Why don't you just put surrounding blocks?
Yes, it's surrounding blocks. We're basically canvassing. We did go down to East 4th Street up to basically East 11th Street. Most of our signatures came from East 6th Street between A and C.
Okay. How about we just put, as Susan said, the petition gathered 109 signatures from the surrounding blocks.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Just get rid of all those streets.
And take out this part too?
Mm-hmm. Consisting of
Just
70,
residents, owners, or-
74 residents.
Mhm.
Yeah, 74 residents and 35 local businesses.
Mhm.
74 residents.
And 35 is the number there.
Okay.
Should we keep this in here, Susan? The block has blank residential units.
No.
And blank businesses
I
because
would
we
take
didn't.
it all out.
Yeah, I think it's time to take this
That
out.
whole sentence.
Not only that, but we also, because there were closures and everything, we just, the blocks,
That's
the
fine.
area has changed so much under COVID.
That's fine. Take that out, please. Thank you.
And
Whereas
maybe the next paragraph too.
no, the next paragraph is within the criterion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it has to hit one of the three things, whether somebody had passed away or a nonprofit.
Okay.
So whereas Avenues for Justice meets the criterion in the CB3 guidelines for street code naming for nonprofit organization that has demonstrated a minimum of 30 years of extraordinary and consistent commitment to the benefit of this community. Therefore, be it resolved that CB3 Manhattan supports co-naming Avenue B between 6th and 7th Street as Avenues for Justice Way. Any other amendments we need to make on this draft resolution?
I have one more question from Angel to report back to him. The co-naming means that it will have our name plus East 6th Street. That's what it means, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
David, you want to add something?
Right. There's a whereas clause there that seems like it may have been picked up somewhere else, whereas Andrew Rodriguez has co-founded. How does this add to the resolution? We only name him there, and it's just like a random factoid in a sense.
Well, I just thought, since he's been the agency's lone executive director, it offers some strength that he's been its leader, but we can take it out if that's something.
Well, I'm not saying we want to take it out. I was just wondering why it's there, wondering how it strengthens it.
They didn't have
It
they didn't have a
doesn't seem to-
multitude of executive directors. They've had one leader this entire time over 40 years.
Mhm. And he's a local too. He was born and raised here.
Yeah, perhaps just adding that he's a Lower East Side resident.
Yeah.
Co-founder and is a Lower East Side resident. Yeah, we can add that in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, who co-founded the Renaissance remains executive director is a lifelong resident, I believe.
Yes.
And comma, who co-founded the organization and remains its executive director is a lifelong resident of the Lower East Side. That
does
makes it pretty strong. Yeah, nice.
Oh, whoops. And is a lifelong resident of the Lower East Side, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, get rid of the word and. No, get rid of the word
Oh.
and to make it grammatical.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Oh, and let's capitalize Lower East Side. Not a fan of this newfangled thing of putting formal names in all lowercase.
Over. All right.
Oh my gosh, all those kids, they can't even type a single capital letter in some of the stuff they write.
Okay. Anything else that we want to add or subtract? Okay. I'm gonna take a vote on this. Paul Rangel, yes. David Crane.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm going down my list. Danielle, if you can, I know
Yeah.
Okay, great. I don't know if you were able to hear me before.
Yeah, I've been hearing everything.
Okay. So that's yes. Tariq.
Strong yes.
Strong yes. Wow. We have 2 thumbs up and a strong yes. This is a good day for Tariq. Wendy, go ahead.
Yes.
Who am I missing? Am I missing anybody? David, I got you ready, right? No. I got David. And
2 yeses for me then.
okay, Lee is out and Michelle is out. Okay, so this resolution passes. So the next step in the process for the cone naming is actually this gets voted on at our full board meeting in a couple weeks. And then it will go over to city council. All right, but past the first hurdle, so.
Do we
Thank
need
you
to
all so
be,
much.
are we responsible for resubmitting paperwork, or do we need to get the paper from point A to point B, or?
Go ahead, Susan.
So you need to, we'll send the resolution to the council office. You should contact Isabel at the council office and ask her what she needs from you.
Okay, great. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to
Thanks
the
so much. That's really
representation.
nice of you.
Thank you to the representation for Avenues for Justice. Ms. Troy, I finally got a chance to meet you, at least virtually, and the work you're doing at Avenues. And it's always great to see Nelson and Liz. And give my regards to the old man, please. And
Will do. And thank you so much for
Thank you so much,
everybody's
everybody.
sentiment for our work. It really goes to show that, you know, we don't do this in a silo, and we couldn't do this without all of you and the community members. And so we really appreciate everything.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
And
so much. So grateful. Just so grateful for all your guidance and support too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Before we close up tonight, just wanted to tell the committee we do come back in 2 weeks for our joint committee meeting with the SLA and the Land Use Committee in regard to the text amendment from July. We will be putting a resolution together. It's going to be a business meeting. If there's any comments, not necessarily questions, but any comments that you have from that text amendment that you heard from in that meeting that we had back at the Boys Club in July, I would ask that you try to send them to me by the end of the week, so I can get it over to the office so we can potentially strengthen a resolution or whatnot. So please do so as soon as possible. If you don't have anything that you want to add, that's perfectly fine. We are really focused on working on that resolution and not necessarily taking any extra comment or question at that meeting. So that's where we stand. Also, we're back on Zoom, as you can tell. We had our one brief moment of being back face to face, and now we are back on Zoom. The new governor reopened the order to have open meetings on Zoom up until, I believe, January, if I'm correct,
January
January 15th.
Yeah.
So we have these next couple months back on Zoom. Until then, we will probably come back face to face. What's up, Tariq? What's the question?
Just to clarify, so GoGo, we moved to full board, co-naming moved to full board, and then UA3 we moved to October?
That's correct. A solid recap. So yes, we voted yes on 2 resolutions and 1 did not make the floor, and hopefully we'll get more information about UA3 and the loading zone and have much more strength for a resolution come October. Tariq, you still have your hand up? Is there anything else or mistake? Okay. All right. That being said, once again, we're back on Zoom, so we'll be back on for the joint committee meeting on Zoom in 2 weeks, full board in 3. I hope everybody has a good couple of days. Some of you work in the education system like myself, and we've started today. Some of us started today and we're drained. Some of you are starting up next week, and I wish you all the best of luck. We're doing a lot of face-to-face stuff again. Once again, if you have any questions for me, please let me know. Any comments about joint text amendment and open restaurant stuff, please let me know, let the office know, so that way we have all that information for a resolution. All right, Wendy, I'm going to ask you for final attendance, and then we will go to adjourn.
Okay, Paul Rango.
Yes.
Michelle is out. Wendy Lee, yes. David Crane.
Yes.
Kenya Hernandez,
Yes.
and Tariq Ramos.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye. Take
Have a
care.
great
Bye,
evening.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate everything you're doing. Thanks so much.
Bye. Thank
All right.
you.